Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rise or Die podcast. This is yours truly, Stephen M. Lowisz, for episode 94, Expansion Requires Space. Now, I've touched on this a few times, but I really wanted to hit a point home today. So I work probably, 90 to 110 hours a week, depending on the week. It's ridiculous. There's a daily grind, plus I'm spending 2 to 3 hours training for jiu-jitsu and Ironman crap every single day. I'm going to get off this podcast, do a 2-hour mountain bike ride, and then I get to come back home and work before we go to church and call it a day. They're really long and grueling days. I work 24/7. It's a daily grind. Like, there's nothing sexy about it. People talk about the daily grind, but there's truly nothing sexy about it. It sucks. That's why they call it a grind. Now, let's take a step back for a second, and let's all agree that the idea of hitting a single every single day instead of a home run is how you make progress, because, well, if you go after, if you go after a home run every single day, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You're going to burn out. You're going to get discouraged, yada, yada, yada. So every day is about hitting singles, or let's call it moving 1% closer to your target. Moving just 1% closer to your targets. That's it. That is the goal behind every single day. But then the question is, how do you make progress each and every day without exception? Monday through Sunday. The end. No exceptions. So the comparison that I want to use is that it's a game of inches, just like football, jiu-jitsu, or really any other sport. Baseball, it doesn't matter. You can use the comparison no matter what. You win or lose, you make progress, or you actually go backwards. In reality, it's based on a game of inches, right? Like, there's 36 inches in a yard. How many of those can you cover in a single football play? Jiu-jitsu, it's absolutely a game of inches. And so is the daily grind. Every day, if we're trying to make ourselves 1% better than we were the day before, we need to focus on a game of inches, which requires space. The only way to keep moving forward in our lives is to constantly create space. Now, in this case, I'm talking about space to think, space to breathe, space to create, space to figure out who you really are. It took me a long time, and in fact, I'm still fine-tuning on a daily basis, but it took me a long time to figure out, who is Stephen M. Lowisz? I had a lot of different guys that I looked up to and whatnot, and the problem is, for a long time there, I was trying to chase what those men were as opposed to what I wanted to be, who I truly was and am. I needed to give myself the time and the space to actually figure that out. I need to give myself space to ask tough questions. Am I on the right path? Are there hard decisions that I need to make to move forward? If we never lift our head out of the daily grind, the daily work, clients calling off the hook, employee problems, technology problems, you name it. There could be problems in any aspect of our lives. And we're essentially firefighters, especially if you own a business. But no matter what, we spend most of our lives firefighting. And in reality, it doesn't do us a whole lot of good because we're never making progress. What we need to be able to do is lift our head up, take a step back, and breathe. We need to ask hard questions. We need to figure out who we are. We need to have a little fun. Fun is not natural for me. It's not at all. If I'm not being productive, I feel off. It's a really sick and twisted way of operating. I'm not going to dispute that at all. But I've essentially become, I don't want to say so disciplined, but so focused on progress that sometimes I lose progress because I haven't actually given myself the chance to breathe, the chance to have fun. So as I mentioned earlier, in just a few minutes after I get done with this podcast, I'm actually going mountain biking for a few hours. Now, I learned that mountain biking is a perfect way for me to get outside, not sit in my office 24/7 like I do. It gives me some fresh air, and it gives me time just for me. Like, there's a phone in my backpack because I have hurt myself before, and, well, I should probably have a phone on me. But there's no phone going off. There's no emails coming through. There's no nothing. It's just 2 hours with me. And the thing that I love about mountain biking is, so I do some road biking as well. I'm training for my half Ironman and whatnot. With a road bike, you can get lost in thoughts. It can get actually kind of boring. You can see some beautiful scenery, but especially for me, because I tend to go on the same trail over and over, well, same road over and over. It's beautiful, but I gotta say, like, it's hard to be present in that moment because it's not like you're worried about, okay, am I gonna fall? Do I have to watch out for a rock or a root or this turn? No, it's like driving on a road. When it comes to mountain biking, I'm so ingrained into what I'm doing because I've hurt myself before. I almost broke my back. It keeps me present because you have to pay attention to each and every little detail of the path. So it's 2 hours where I think about nothing except the present. I don't have to worry about work. Work will be there when I get back. I don't have to worry about anything going on the personal side. It'll be there when I'm back. We all, and I'm not saying go mountain biking, although I highly recommend it. What I'm saying is we all need to create space for ourselves, get present. That's really the key. Create space, give yourself enough space to be present with what you're doing, and take a breath. If you don't clear your mind and invest in yourself, you will not expand. I used to look at it as really selfish for me to go train 2-3 hours a day plus work as much as I do. Now it's a little bit different because now I work with my wife and it's awesome. I get a lot more time with her. But I still wake up pretty damn early. I was waking up at 4. Now it's more like 5 or 6. I give myself a little extra time to sleep. I was waking up at 4 because I had to get all this done in a day, plus I had to go spend time with my wife. And by had, I mean I get to. My schedule's adjusted slightly. I probably get 7 hours of sleep a night instead of, the 6 or 5 that I was. And that may still be a little much. I probably get 6 hours of sleep instead of the 4 or 5 I used to. And I realized that doing that and taking time to train and keep time for myself actually helped me improve my efficiency, my productivity. It helped me improve my strategy in business. It helped me improve everything. It also helps me stay more present at home. So by taking that time and investing it in myself and creating space, I started to expand in every other area. It's a fallacy that the more work you have, the more work you need to do. It's a complete fallacy. Sometimes you need to stop working to actually make big moves in work. It's counterintuitive, but that is something that I want you to consider. Across body, being, balance, and business, where are you lacking expansion? And how are you going to start creating space, specifically targeting that area in the next 48 hours? That's a question I'll pose to you today as we wrap up episode 94, Expansion Requires Space. As always, you can send me any hate mail at steven@invictus.co. You can subscribe at riseorddiepodcast.com for some of our exclusive content. And lastly, share this podcast with someone that you want more for out of their life, someone that needs a little kick in the ass every day, just like you get from me. I'll talk to you tomorrow for episode 95.